Hello everyone and welcome back to JavaScript lessons on Codecademy. So last time we finished off looking at objects and arrays. Today we're going to be doing a bit of recap from what I see. So let's just get started. So the very basic building blocks of JavaScript are primitive data types. We know the three primitives, which are strings, numbers and booleans. Numbers can sometimes be split into integers and double, or the other one, which I don't remember. So integer whole numbers, double, or the other one decimal numbers. We learned about the use of comparators, example greater than, lesser than or equal to, not equal to, and the other ones which are greater than and so on. One really important thing to note is that anytime comparisons are made, a boolean value is returned. So yeah, that's what our task is going to be on. So there is a long and ugly expression in the editor. Overall, it evaluates to a boolean. So what does this expression in the editor evaluate to? We need to declare a variable named answer and just replace whatever that evaluates to with answer. So we can do this by doing var answer equals and whatever it's going to equal. I'm guessing it's going to be a true or a false. So what's evaluated first? What was the order? I think it was and, then or, then not, I believe. Let's just see then. So you have the parentheses and it doesn't give me where each one ends. That's nice. Does that equal that? Yes, it does equal, so that's true. Or okay, this is going to get complicated. So this is true. I can literally just replace that with true. Am I replacing the correct thing? Okay, I need to replace this whole thing with true. Or this and this. So not false is true. False and true gives false. So false and true is going to be false, but because there's a not in front of it, it's going to be true. Well, there are only two answers, so if I don't evaluate it correctly, I can just go with the other one. But let's try not to do that. And then you also have bex.toUpper. Does that equal that? Yes, it does. And that's also going to be true. Oops, not a string true, but literally true. So this should evaluate to true if I evaluated it correctly. Yep, it definitely does. So you can look at that in a bit more detail, but I'm not going to go into too much detail because I think it's a bit too simple and we've covered it before. So let's just move on. We know two ways of storing data types. We can use variables or arrays. We use variables to store data that we later want to access, because that's very useful, otherwise there's really not much point. An array is exactly the same as a variable in that it stores data. The difference is that an array can store many more values while a variable can only store one. So an array stores a list of variables, whereas a variable is just one thing. To access arrays, we use bracket notation, and remember that arrays use zero-based indexing, which just means that the first element that's in the array has the index of 0 instead of 1. So we need to look at the array multiples of 8, which is this one, and this one, which then goes to that one, whatever, we'll look at it, and find the one that doesn't fit, okay? Replace x in line 6, so this line, such that the variable answer is assigned the boolean value of true. So multiples of 8 index, where x divided by 8, so which one isn't a multiple of 8? 8 definitely is, 16 is, 24 is, 32 is, 40 is, 58 is not. So that has the index of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to have the index of 5. If we do that, doesn't equal 0, that should return true. As we can see, everything works fine, which means that we did it correctly. If you put something else there, then it's going to evaluate to false, so it's probably going to give you an error. Let's actually just try, just to make sure that what I'm saying isn't nonsense. 4, 7, submit. Yep, that's exactly what happens. So if we put 5, it evaluates properly, and we can move on. So we're going to play a game of Fizzbuzz. I have no idea what that is. The rules are simple. We want to count from 1 to 20, but if the number is divisible by 3, we're going to print fizz. And if the number is divisible by 5, we're going to print buzz. Oh, I've done this before. I remember doing this in Python, I think. What will we print if the number is divisible by 3 and 5? So we're going to print Fizzbuzz. There are many ways to do this, but we'd like you to use a nested conditional in this exercise. So we want to print out the numbers from 1 to 20. Easy. We can use a for loop. So we say for I equals 0, then while I is not equal to 21, we want to do something, and that something is just increase y by something. Inside that, we want to console.log whatever that's going to be. Oops, I don't know why that tab was left there. And the rules: for numbers divisible by 3, print out fizz. So if I is divisible by 3, so we use the modulo to do that, equals 0, then we want to do something. So that's evaluated after anything, so that's going to be evaluated first, then the whole expression. We want to do something, and that something is going to be print fizz with a capital F. Else, actually no, not else, else if. Was that how it was done? I think it was. I'm not actually too sure. We'll see. So otherwise, we want to check that it's 5. And in that case, we want to print out buzz with the capital B. And if it's divisible by both, then we want to print out Fizzbuzz. So how we check if it's divisible by both is by doing this in brackets, just in case, and, which the operator is just 2 and symbols, shift 7, and this. So if both of these are true, we want to console.log Fizzbuzz. So let's see if that actually works. Okay, so for numbers, okay, so we don't actually want to do this here. We want to do that as an else. 7 submit code. Oops, okay. So at 0, do we want, oh, it's from 1 to 20. So we need to change that to 1. And I have no idea what's happening right now. It's not loading. I will be back when it actually works. It loads properly now, I think, hopefully. I also found out that instead of 3 there, I should have a 5. That I made that error because I just copied. Oops. No, not there. Wrong place. So here, we should have a 5. You printed out fizz when you should have printed Fizzbuzz. Oh, okay, so a simple way to fix this is instead of putting this in the last position, we should put it as the first position. So literally just replace those. And what's the error now? You should have printed fizz when you have printed Fizzbuzz. Oops. I need to replace these as well, not just the other thing. So the text that gets printed out needs replacing as well. Let's see what happens now. You printed out Fizzbuzz when you should have printed fizz. Okay. Why does it print Fizzbuzz there. At 3, that should be a 5. That's why. There we go. Now everything is done properly. So let's actually explain. So we make a loop where a for loop where I at the start is equal to 1. Each time after the loop is finished, we increase I by 1 until I is 21 when the loop finishes, i.e. the last number that I is going to be inside the loop is 20. So now let's get into the if statements. So we have here the first statement that we're checking for is is I divisible by both by both 3 and 5. If it is, just print Fizzbuzz and skip to the end of the if else chain and go on to the next I value. If that isn't true, then goes onto the else if, so it checks is I divisible by 5, evenly divisible by 5. If it is, then it prints 5. If it isn't, so if it's something like 3 or 6, it moves on. And it moves on to is I evenly divisible by 3. If it is, it prints fizz. If it isn't, then none of those were true, so it just prints the number and continues on with the loop. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them, but we will just move on. This exercise has lots of movies and reviews to type in. Okay, that doesn't sound too interesting. You might wonder, is this teaching coding or typing? But there's a reason why there are so many cases to deal with. We want to show that if we use if-else statements, it would be inefficient. What alternative to if-else can we use? So we've learned of switch. Imagine you have a movie collection and you want to write code that returns your review for each one. Here are the movies and your reviews. Okay. So if Toy Story 2, just say great story, mean prospector. Finding Nemo, cool animation, and Finding Turtles. Okay. The Lion King, great songs. So we need to write a function named getReview, which is actually already made for us, or the skeleton of it is anyway. Takes in a movie, so that's there, name, and returns its review based on the information above. If given a movie name not found, just return I don't know. Use a structure learned in an earlier lesson, which isn't an if or else statement. So we have learned the switch. And how you use the switch, I believe, is something like switch movie, and then you do the whole case. So in the case when movie is equal to Toy Story 2, we want to return what was it? We want to return whatever this is. And we also need to break, otherwise it's just going to continue checking. In another case where the movie name is Finding Nemo, we want to return cool animation and Finding Turtles. And in the third case where the name is Lion King, let me just put the break there, we want to return, don't return Lion King, I meant return great songs. And break. And then in any other case, default, I believe that's how you do default, we want to return I don't know. So let's see if that works. I will copy it just in case. Okay, it doesn't, I don't completely remember. So okay, we were correct by doing that, so we just forgot the parentheses. There we go. So it just works. All I forgot was the parentheses. I wasn't sure if you needed the parentheses actually, but as we can see, you do need parentheses for almost every statement in JavaScript. So if you don't remember how this works, be sure to check out my video of JavaScript and the switch statement. And I won't go into too much detail now. If you have any questions, do feel free to ask in the comments. I will be happy to answer, as I said before. So let's move on. So congratulations for making it this far. We hope you're enjoying the courses and feel more comfortable programming in JavaScript. So we are actually about 65% into the course, so we're over halfway, so we have actually covered quite a lot of material. We have a number of exciting things in store for you and can't wait to roll them out. That sounds interesting? If you're ready to start learning about objects, print in the console. I'm ready for objects, okay? There we go. Oops, it has a capital O. Just in case it doesn't like that. There we go. So we have actually done 500 exercises if you've been following all of my courses. So that's interesting, we got a badge. So next time we will be talking more about objects. I don't know which kind of objects. It might still be about arrays, it might be about the object that I'm thinking of, which is just making your own variable, which is a lot more interesting and very useful. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video if you liked it. Dislike if you didn't like it. Tell me why you didn't like it so that I can improve for next time. And please subscribe to support me and make me feel better for making these videos for you. So as I said before, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.